You need a ceiling fan in there.
Well, no doubt. Man.
And it fucks with the acoustics, you see.
Actually, I do have a ventilator in this thing, but it does. It messes with the acoustics, so I don't use it. So there you go. And it doesn't matter because I stand up in this thing. I like to stand up in here. There's not room for 2 chairs in here, and I enjoy standing anyway during this podcast. So
you need like one of those lab chairs that are like just a suggestion for you to rest your ass on. It's not really a seat. The real tall ones.
You need a bar stool.
Yeah, it's like a bar stool.
I don't need any of those things. I like standing up.
Okay.
But in any event, that's neither here nor there. I think we're ready to start. Welcome to a Shinn Show, a special Nebraska flooding edition. Joining me from Omaha is Sarah Shinn from the basement of her home in Hilltop. Nicholas Shinn from the basement of his home in, what would you call your neighborhood? Pinckney?
Yeah.
All right, very
Benson.
good. Yeah, Benson, good point. And we're joined also by Guy Shinn, my brother, from the friendly confines of Arvada, Colorado, also known as Denver. Welcome all.
Thank you. I feel so welcomed.
Shalom. Good evening.
Yes, very good. Elsie will be joining us shortly after, she gets
Elsie's there. I see her.
She's there. She's locked in.
Okay, then joining us also is Elsie from the greater Maryland area. Hello, Elsie.
Hello.
Fantastic.
I like it.
All right, terrific. Well, we certainly have a quorum now. And a lot of news this week. A lot happened. All right, let's start with Nebraska. They got flooded. Bomb cyclone. Blizzards.
Super flooded.
Yeah, unbelievable. Dead cattle, the whole thing. The whole
There's a whole
spring
bunch of
blizzard
people that
deal.
are stranded. I have some people who work in a town that got cut off. So one guy's stranded there, and the other girl can't get home.
That's bad. Okay, real bad.
Yeah, flooding. Lots of flooding. Lots of potholes.
They're on I think it was Thursday maybe. There's snow out to the west, so a bunch of the interstates and things were closed, and then flooding from the north and the east, so a bunch of those roads were closed. Really, the only way in or out of Nebraska was the southeast corner.
That's a bad deal. So,
Trapped in Nebraska. It's a horror movie.
well, the new marketing slogan, as you know, for Nebraska is, it's not for everyone. And I think this whole bomb cyclone experience proves it.
It's not for anyone at this point.
Nebraska, it's not for anyone. That's good. That's real good. So, Guy, did you get impacted by this bomb cyclone thing in Denver?
Yeah, we did. We had a blizzard. Kyler missed 2 days of school.
All right.
We got released early one day, and then I had to call in sick the next day because Kyler was off of school. So I wouldn't call it a blizzard, not from like when we were kids, but around in Colorado, I guess it's considered a blizzard.
Yeah, that's true. When we were children, a blizzard lasted for 7 days, produced 14 feet of snow, and killed thousands.
That's right.
And you liked it.
Well, listen, the
and you were
blizzard
grateful
76 brought 26 feet of snow. They're still digging out from that.
That's
You
exactly
had
right.
to walk barefoot in at school, of course, which was still open, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Uphill, both ways.
that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah,
We
they
were
didn't they didn't close school for that. I mean, all the teachers lived at school during winter because of this.
Cots.
Yes, we're
Now,
ready to
guys,
go.
Their own
from what I
fireplaces.
Listen, this is a true story. We had to tunnel to the neighbor's house in 1976 for a loaf of bread.
I think that is true. The Dietzes, as I recall.
That's right.
Yeah,
Did the neighbors know you were coming over to steal their bread?
they were pretty
No.
freaked out. As I recall, we were pretty mean to those neighbor kids.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, but they still
Why
gave
be
us their
nice
bread.
to him?
But they had it coming for what they done to Ned.
Classic.
Tradition.
Yeah.
Now, so Guy, from what I understand, there was a lot of chaos in Colorado, and a lot of the older locals were blaming it on all the newbies and the millennials. Is that true? Can you verify this complaint and story?
Well, that's a general complaint. Always. It's from, you know what I mean?
Those damn millennials.
Yeah, from time immemorial, right? It's the millennials and the out-of-staters that don't know how to drive.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the problem. And people from Texas, don't forget them.
And people from Texas, and there you have it. Elsie's 100% correct. It's the fault of everyone but ours.
So-called natives, even though you moved to Colorado yourself.
Kyler's a native, so therefore I'm allowed to have the bumper sticker on the back of my car.
I don't think it's like a green card. I don't think you get in by marrying into it. Shit.
I think it is.
That's how he's using it.
Yeah,
running
absolutely.
with it.
It's chain migration, I call it.
I hear that's bad, but I can't be sure of that. Anyway, so speaking of other shit, so this is kind of interesting. So it turns out this gal from Full House and some other weirdo millionaires have been buying their way into colleges, elite colleges. Now, the thing to me...
Shocker.
Right.
What do you mean? Explain.
You haven't heard about this?
Isn't that what you always do? You buy your way into college?
Well,
Not usually so overtly. Usually it's, through suggestion and donations.
I thought
not
paid
straight up here.
tuition.
So let's explain this story.
Yeah, I thought you paid tuition. He said, yes, this is above that. This is a stupid tax, basically.
First,
No.
Yeah, so-
Let's explain the story to Nick. So Nick,
Yeah,
the deal
explain it,
is
please.
that not only is it all the tutoring and stuff, but these people of wealth are also paying like the athletic director at a high school to say that their student is like professional level athletic.
Oh, so they get some sort of full ride?
There's a lot of fucking bribery to make sure that these kids' applications look amazing and paying off the college application boards. So they're getting these kids into these schools that they don't deserve to go to.
Okay, but can't you? I guess I wouldn't know. I'm not saying I don't know. I never had a problem getting into the school I was trying to get into, but don't you just pay? Like, why
no,
no,
Nick. Here's the reason why you've never had a problem getting into the school that you wanted to get into, okay? Because you've not been trying to get into good schools. No offense. I mean, I'm a proud graduate of the University of Nebraska at Omaha myself, but the primary requisite for...
I believe you've hit a nerve here, Nick.
Yeah. Take it easy, Dad. Man, shit. I just thought you took the ACT, and if you were good enough, you got in, as long as you paid.
No, it's not that simple because
Space is limited.
There's bribes and mafia kickbacks, and if you want to have concrete in your school, I think you're going to have to talk to the Teamsters.
So
consider me educated.
Yeah. So at a truly elite school like a Harvard, a Yale, a Stanford, and even, I don't consider the University of Southern California to be an elite school. It's a good school, but it's not an elite school. But why leave anything up to chance? Why put the work in when you can just pay for it? Well, that's the whole point, right?
Okay. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, this chick was partying on the yacht of the board of directors, the main guy on the board of directors, right? So while the scandal was breaking, the lady's daughter was actually partying on the yacht of the chancellor of USC.
They're good friends now.
But here's the point. The point is that, first of all, Nick, whatever you're doing with your mic, you need to make sure you speak into that thing. That's point number one. But point number two...
As you can see, it's right here on the side of my face.
There it goes.
I can put it in my mouth if you want me to.
That would be better. I think that'd be better.
But I don't think I can speak into something any more than I am right now.
You might legit be able to boost your mic settings in your computer settings.
Let me try and figure that out while you guys.
Yeah, while I further educate you. This is the whole
thing, though, right? Like some of the schools had people.
We lost Elsie
for people, right?
Yeah,
like it was a whole ring of shit. It wasn't just people donating money. It was go ahead and give me money, and I will take your entrance exam for you, type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it was.
Now that makes a lot more sense.
Yes, there was that too. So there was many different facets to this particular scandal, but the bottom line is that it's rich people buying their way into elite colleges, and thus has it ever been.
Mm-hmm. I think that's been going on for quite a while. I don't understand the shock factor.
I think that there was actual evidence for it, was the shock factor, and the fact that they were looking at something else and found this. Like this was an unrelated investigation that they stumbled upon.
Yeah, well,
Operation Varsity Blues, as we like to refer.
Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah, I guess I didn't do a very good job of describing this story, did I? But in any event,
we all kind of jumped all over it, so as usual.
Yeah, I wonder where Elsie went. Well, I guess she'll come back if she wants to.
She'll be back. I see her.
Oh, okay, good.
See, this is why I can't stay in the booth. My ADD won't allow me to just be still for an hour.
Yeah.
I can't hack it. So I got to wander around. I'm getting snacks. Okay.
Okay, good.
Getting snacks.
Well, hopefully you'll bring some down this
I'm
way.
gonna get some snacks from my part of the podcast too.
Right, the snacking portion of the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's that sound? Can you identify the snack from the crunches?
That's right.
That's going to be awesome. All right, so
After that, we'll have nap time.
right, followed by savage beatings. All right, anyway.
Yesterday, the nephew came up because it was his birthday, and we ate cake before we ate anything else, and I had a ginormous piece of cake and immediately passed out 15 minutes later.
That's nice. Hey, well, speaking of cake, since we're on the subject of cake, Elsie yesterday made a banana cake with a macadamia nut frosting. That was really a
Sounds
drizzle.
decadent.
Oh, it was delicious. Absolutely.
To be exact, it was toasted macadamia nuts with toasted coconut in white chocolate glaze.
Yeah, so who's
So
the
if you're going to say it, get it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, in other words, who's the asshole here? That's right, I am.
Clearly, you are.
Right. Have you seen that? That's a new, like a Reddit thing, AITA. Am I the asshole?
Yeah, you
That's
subreddit.
actually something I actually haven't seen that. That sounds good, though.
Am I the?
Well,
Well, some
I
of them are
approve.
good and some of them are stupid.
Yeah. Some
Well,
of them
you
are.
know, you got to wade through the stupid-ass material of any subreddit.
Yeah. So that's the real question. If I mistakenly describe my wife's glaze, am I the asshole? I think probably I am. Even if I'm
You got to
praising
provide
it.
the full context, though. How many times has she explained it to you? Do you have it written down? How many times have you eaten it?
See,
In
that's
what company have you failed to explain the glaze correctly? All of these are needed. Not enough info.
Company, have you failed to shrill?
Info tag.
Nah, you're the
See,
asshole.
Coconut is a key component of the flavor package. So if it was just banana and macadamia, it's kind of like, eh. But once you know that it's also coconut and chocolate, I mean, it's like up a notch. Am I right?
yeah, you're right, hon. Hey,
I think you're complicating the matter. You're either an asshole or you're not. I'm one.
But being an asshole and knowing cake ingredients are not mutually exclusive.
that's true. That's a good point. Hey, Elsie, you should borrow Brad's headphones with the speaker on it. See if that works for you a little better. Your volume's a little low.
Hey, look, here's an Am I the Asshole right here. Let's read it.
Okay, let's find out what we're talking about here.
Am I the asshole for pretending to be an appletarian, eating only apple-derived foods or drinks, for 3 weeks as a prank, causing my friends to have an intervention for me?
Yes, you're an asshole. No,
No.
you're saying no?
You're not an asshole. You think you need to have an intervention for your friend because he's eating too many fucking apples? You're the asshole there. Why don't you mind your own damn business? What's wrong with eating apples?
Well,
Yeah, you know what? Dad's been eating a lot of fucking apples lately. I think it's time we sat down and have a little chat with him because it's destroying his life.
if I were eating only apples, that would be something that would, hey, dude, you think you should eat so many apples? That doesn't seem healthy.
I don't.
Apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah,
Yeah, so what happens when you quadruple the applage? Then you never have to go to the doctor for at least, 4 days at a time.
I think one could live a long time off of apples.
but actually one probably could, but I mean,
You don't actually have to live off the apples for this whole joke thing to work. You just have to only eat apples in polite company.
right.
First off, yeah.
Well,
Sarah's
it's a
right.
joke. So he didn't actually just eat apples for 3 weeks.
No. He made a joke about it and then fully committed to it.
But even if he did, I don't understand why someone would. First off, you're watching your friend's eating habits a little too harshly if you notice that he's been eating exclusively apples.
No, it would be an announcement. Hey, I'm eating only apples. You should really try this. I'm doing it for weeks and weeks. I'm still on the apple kick. I mean,
Okay,
so
all right.
Yeah, as a person with a restrictive diet, you're forced to talk about your fucking diet in front of people
All the time.
all the time.
That's the first rule of CrossFit. You always talk about CrossFit.
Yeah, it's the opposite of fight.
yes, CrossFit is indeed the opposite of Fight Club. No question about it. First rule of CrossFit, I'm doing CrossFit.
Right.
Yeah, here's some photos. No proof or there's no pics. Wait a minute. Well, you get it.
Same thing with reading a book. Oh, I read the book.
Yeah,
No.
that's true.
Did you see the movie? No, I read the book.
Right.
Yeah.
So much
Go
better
fuck
than the
yourself.
movie.
That's the equivalent of go fuck yourself. Okay, is what that is, in my
I see.
opinion.
All right. Well, back to the. Is there any other news this week? I feel like there was. There was that storm, and there was that college scandal, and then...
I've got a bit of news.
Yeah.
The United States has put $1 million bounty on the son of Bin Laden.
Yeah, that's kind of oldish,
Really?
but yeah, that happened.
That's
know that.
old.
Yeah, that's been happening for a while. It's the last 10 days.
I didn't know that. I just saw it on the internet today.
I didn't either. We're not clearly we're not up on the military news.
Well, speaking of apples, though, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I also think we should put a bounty on the head of the son of Joseph Stalin. Is he alive? I never liked that guy.
The granddaughter of Joseph Stalin lives in Oregon and has like some cute little boutique thing.
Yeah, and has a $5 million bounty on her head, too. It's a little
Well, that's unfortunate because I think I could find her pretty easy. Oh, maybe it's not unfortunate. Maybe that's a way to get some easy money.
Easy money.
Lining, baby.
So, no, but yeah, that's
I just
interesting.
think it seems a little gangsterish. That's all.
On our part?
On anyone's part.
Have $1 million bounty on your head.
Yeah.
Well,
All around, it seems a little Godfathery.
Yeah, well, speaking of Godfathers,
Let's take out a hit. No, I don't disagree with it. I think we should take out a hit on him, but I don't think we should pay for it.
But do you know why? I mean, just because he's the son, or has he done anything? Do we even know?
Yeah, he's
Following in
starting to
Dad's
rise to the ranks.
Oh, I
as far
see.
From what I understand.
How else can we sustain multi-generational war if we don't instigate it? Come on.
There's a good point.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So I'm not sure I necessarily am allowed to agree with that comment or not. But look, here's the point. The point.
I don't know. I'm neither going to confirm nor deny my feelings on this comment.
Yes, but speaking of gangsters, there was an actual no shit mob hit this week in Staten Island.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Which mob?
There's peace for years.
Yes, well, one of the 5 families, I believe it was the acting boss of the Gambino crime family, got whacked outside of his home.
Certainly did. I think they have the guy in custody as well.
They do, and sure enough, he appears to be a gangster.
Yeah, well, but that's not gonna. I think this is gonna start a war. There's been peace for years. I remember my buddy just texted me the other day. One of the members of the Gambino family said whoever was involved, they all have to die. So I think there's going to be some war on the streets.
A war on the dead.
Yeah.
Family dead.
All right. Well, good thing we're all living not in Staten Island.
Hey, so I got a couple questions for you guys.
Okay, let's lay it on. Hey, just real quick.
Wait. Are these non-news related? Is this a news segment? Because
No,
I have
this
one
is
more news item
absolutely
first.
not news related. So get all the news out.
All right. So in 12 days, Britain is going to exit the European Union with no plan, which is going to result in a projected 9.3% loss in their total economy over the next 15 years, which will have global impact.
Yeah, aren't they?
Congratulations, Britain.
Yeah, Theresa May's getting some real fucking blowback on this whole Brexit thing.
Well,
They rejected her plan, so they have no plan. And the biggest problem with this is Northern Ireland, because apparently it's going to force these hard borders between Northern Ireland and Ireland, which is going to basically reinvigorate the entire conflict in Ireland that's been, it's a tale as old as time. So congratulations.
So
Europe.
a trip to Ireland is out this year then.
right. I know you were planning on that.
You could trip to Ireland. You just might not be able to get back out of Ireland.
Well, the troubles. But look, the fact is that it's not been decided exactly what's going to happen yet. That is an option, a no-deal Brexit. That's certainly something that could happen, that Britain could crash out of the Eurozone. But more likely is that they will reach some kind of compromise in terms of either going with the deal that May has right now or submitting it to another referendum. So that's possible too. So
they're gonna crash out of that European zone, out of the European Union. Is that what it's called? The EU?
The EU.
Yes.
That's exactly
But
right.
the problem with a new referendum, though, is it would take approximately 22 weeks to get that whole thing organized to allow a public vote. So basically, the only real options on the table at the moment are to go with Theresa May's deal or no deal.
That is true.
Or they can unilaterally just say, "Oh, our bad, we fucked up. We're not going to do it after all."
Well,
but
so
then they might have blowback from their own people.
That also true, but even that third option requires the what's the word I'm looking for? It requires the approval of the European Union to say, no, we're not, we're going to take some time. However, if Britain was to say we were going to have another referendum, it seems almost certain that the European Union would say, take all the time you need to stay in the European Union.
The EU already gave them the leverage in the last formal document to go ahead and just walk away from their whole stupidity.
Oh, well, good enough. Well, hope they do, because ultimately my own view is that Britain alone is weaker than they are as part of the European Union. Not being a Brit, of course.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the conquering nation that they used to be.
Well, the sun never set on the British Empire at one time. It's hard to walk away from your empire. Hard to walk away from your vision of empire. Hard to walk away.
Yeah.
Hard to be part of something smaller when once you were the 800-pound gorilla. Don't you think?
Well, I think that this will show them that they're not the 800-pound gorilla.
I think they're going to get invaded, yo.
They're not going to get invaded.
They're dropping out of the EU. Someone's going to come riding in on horses.
Stalin's granddaughter is going to come take them over.
The Gauls or the Romans are going to come.
She's been biding her time in Oregon.
Yeah, probably so.
And here's an interesting fact. I was looking into going to Greece.
Yeah, I thought you were going to Greece.
I was looking into it. In fact, I'm right now I'm awaiting Kyler's passport.
I see.
Another story, but anyway, it turns out that you can buy your residency in Greece.
Really?
Yes,
Really?
for 250,000 euro.
Holy shit!
Which is what, about 120?
No.
175,000?
280,000 US dollars.
Yeah, that's
So if you invest,
I know that.
Yes, the euro's worth more than $1.
if you invest 280,000 US dollars in the Greek economy, you can become a Greek resident,
permanent resident.
a permanent resident of Greece.
Which means that you're a permanent resident of the EU with all of the privileges appertaining to.
That's right.
It's not a terrible.
It takes 5 years and $280,000.
And then bam, you're there. You can also get a 2-year visa in France, I hear, if that's what you want to do, if you're an artist or some other sort of computer genius.
Or if you want to just go over there and surrender to something.
Or you could scam a local into marrying you.
Right. That's
That works better for us women, I feel like.
yeah. Well,
Let's go ahead and get sexist on it.
I don't know. That's how I got to Maryland. So worked for me. Anyway, so final piece of news before we get to next questions, which is Boeing's in trouble. They've had a couple of 737 MAX aircraft crash, and appears to be a problem with the software. So
are they grounded in the
Did you
U.S.
see that
now?
whole
They
thing
are.
about
They're
how
grounded.
Trump was like, computer scientists should fly the planes, and how fucking stupid that is, and a fundamental misunderstanding of A, why pilots are there, and B, the kind of work computer scientists and engineers do.
No,
I got all riled up about it.
Yeah, what he was saying is that we don't need planes that are so complicated that it needs a computer scientist to fly them. That aircraft should be simpler. That's his point. Although the fact of the matter is that modern aircraft are incredibly complex systems of systems, even passenger planes, to say nothing of military aircraft.
And not to mention that Trump is a very stable genius.
Right.
Well, when we get back to making America great again, we can just fly biplanes, back when it was simple.
Yeah,
Right.
some World War II biplanes across the sky.
Well,
I saw another MAGA assault on the internet.
yeah, what happened?
A lady wearing a MAGA hat got assaulted for the hat.
Well,
I think that's a bit ridiculous to get I think it's a bit ridiculous to get assaulted over a hat.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Except
also.
for those
Unless
fucking
you're
cat in the
wearing a
hat hats.
swastika,
No, the cat in the hat, you should get your ass beat.
Yeah.
But there are some hats you should get the
train
shit kicked out of you
conductor
for
hat?
wearing,
Train conductor hat, that's another one you should just get popped right in the
Train
mouth.
conductor hat? Yeah,
Right.
you should get your ass kicked if you're out wearing that.
What if you're a conductor?
If you're a conductor, then you should be on a train right now, sir. What are you doing?
That's a good point. That's same for if you're.
Train's in the yard. I wanted to go to the gas station, get some
Then you
chips.
need to take your damn train conductor hat off, okay? Because you look like a goof. All
What
right?
if you're a child? Kyler had a train conductor hat when he was about 3, and he loved it. He wore it
Well, I think ages 0
Yeah,
to
there's like an age.
every age
Well-
limit.
No, because I'm thinking just ass beatings immediately.
Yeah, administered right to whoever. As soon as you see that train conductor hat, you should be mentally conditioned to just see red and leap at whoever's wearing it, unless you see them on a train. That's the only way you don't.
Right. Same thing with a Cat in the Hat.
Same thing with the Cat in the hat.
Yeah,
yes.
if somebody's wearing a Cat in the Hat and they are not actually actively performing tricks with a fish or thing one and thing two.
I find it odd that nobody's mentioned that it's St. Patrick's Day today.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. You know why? Because who gives a shit?
Because no one's wearing green.
No one.
None of us are currently alcoholic either, so there's that.
Murphy got all into it because her last name's Murphy and she has a Murphy shirt and all that, and she's like, "You have to wear green. You're technically more Irish than I am," which I thought was funny.
That is pretty funny, actually. That's according to 23andMe.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hey, so everyone on the podcast, try not to commit any violent crimes because they've submitted their DNA to the database, so they'll be able to track you down.
His fingerprints are already in
Not me.
My fingerprints are already in there from when we took
Fostered.
guardianship, of the young boys.
I'd like to pose an interesting question.
Yes.
My new phone has a retinal scan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that they collect the retinal scan?
Yeah.
So let's say, you know how these data breaches and, Facebook and all that collects all this bullshit. And if you submit your DNA to DNA 23 tree or whatever it is, now you're subject to a public warrant where you can just, now we have your retinal scan. So we can scan your retina and do you think that's a deal or what?
Yeah. They're saving everything. Every single thing you give to them. And when I say they, I mean anyone who's taking information. I think they save everything.
I think everything gets saved, and in a perfect world, in a perfect world, you would need a warrant or something for that information, but that's not how it works.
No, how it works is it's used somehow to track you and market to you more tailored and specifically. That's how.
And then your information gets sold and blah 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 blah.
Dude, you are the product.
Yeah.
Well, my implication is on facial recognition is where I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, we're all fucked for facial recognition. Super fucked.
Yeah, I think they've been doing that for a while though. Like they've
been really big in China. I think it's coming in the United States.
There was the Facebook, there was a trend or a meme or something, whatever. It was like, post your first picture of yourself and then post yourself now. And all that is for the fucking facial recognition algorithms to better be able to tailor themselves to what you looked like 10 years ago to what you look like now, because Facebook's
what you might look like 10 years from now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's exactly what it was, because Facebook came around in like 2008, 2009. And so they're like, post your first picture that you posted on Facebook and then see how much you've changed. And it's super cute for all your friends, except it's also really for the robots.
I just find it interesting because when I worked at Coors, they were working on technology that would shield you from facial recognition. They had a thing called a dragon suit that was, they were working on that stuff years ago because it was already, they thought it was already a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're in like a suit that makes you look like a dragon, then you're probably...
Oh no, they call it dragon skin, but it's not. It doesn't actually make you look like a dragon.
It fucks with the computer's rendering of your face and body, right?
Okay,
yeah,
sure,
that's exactly what it does. Yeah.
But now I want a suit that makes me look like a dragon.
You could just put a dragon, at least.
I didn't know we had a couple of furries on the fucking podcast here, guys.
I'm just saying, if you don't want your face recognized, wear a mask. Like a chicken mask.
I prefer
it would be scary,
magic dragon,
not furries. Yeah.
All right, so scalies, not furries. Wow, this devolved quickly. But yeah, but here is the point. The point is that facial recognition, facial surveillance tracking, they really actually don't need any of that stuff because they can track you with your phone, whether your phone has GPS turned on or not. I mean, so we all have voluntarily decided and elected as a society to allow ourselves to be surveilled and tracked and located.
Well,
because we like the conveniences that come with that.
That's right.
I love being able to Google Maps anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that wasn't what it was. It wasn't. They didn't just hand out these phones and were like, "Hey, so here's what we're gonna do: is we're gonna track you and put you under surveillance and take all your information and keep it cataloged."
Are any of you familiar with Operation Mockingbird?
No. Is it like Operation Blue Jay or Operation Cardinal or Operation
It was a CIA operative started in the 60s it was a media thing. Look it up, Google it. But I believe that many of these things that are happening, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but many of these things, started years and years ago, and they're coming to fruition now, i.e. operate like Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah, I believe that might be true, but my original point is that they made it cool.
Here's the thing, Nick, is that your average day-to-day engineer is not the one who's going to take their product and use it maliciously. Do you know how many ethics classes I had to take? A ton.
I'm just saying, I don't know. All I'm saying is
you're saying that the people who made it didn't make it malicious, right?
No, I'm saying I don't know what they made it for. They could have made it just for the the original function that they advertised. But all I'm saying is that the people are just as culpable as the people who made it. The people who are being watched are just as responsible for this as the people watching them, because they made it seem cool to they made this thing called Facebook where it's cool for you to tell everyone what you're doing and where you are all the time. You have pictures, you got little locations. You wouldn't give that if someone was like, yeah, we need that information from you. You wouldn't want to give it up. But instead they make it they fashion it in such a way that you want to give that information anyway. You give it to them willingly on Facebook. You know what I mean? And
on other sites and through other processes. I mean, it's not just Facebook, my friend.
Phone and Twitter and any social media or advanced technology.
And listen, the point I'm making is that Operation Mockingbird, it started in the 50s with the CIA. They've been controlling the media since the 50s. Social media, you name it. All of it.
Yeah, I believe that.
It's declassified information. You can look it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
I will say in support of Sarah Shinn's point, though, that usually the people with the type of intellect and the way their brain works that have the ability to make these things usually just want to make it because it's cool, because it's this new frontier and it's how you get it together. It's the people that monetize it that are the people with the ill intent.
They design the noises on your phone to make them more attractive to you. So when you get the ping, you have to go. You want to go. It's like Pavlov's fucking dog, right?
Yeah.
You salivate when you hear this ding, so you have no choice but to go to your phone and check your message. You know what I'm saying? So they know what they're doing, in my opinion. I think that it's been a long time coming, and it's going to continue to escalate into a more and more Big Brother-esque type situation.
Agreed.
Well, but here's the thing. At any point, any one of us could decide, you know what, I'm just going with a landline. You can unplug. It's still possible in this day and age.
Yeah, you're right.
If indeed but you also are going to forfeit your ability to make a living. I, for example, have a work phone, and I could not be eligible for the job I do without carrying around this other phone. And all of my communications are subject to monitoring by my employer because I have this phone, right? So, ultimately, there's not been a robust debate in our society about what we are trading away for the convenience that these devices offer us. There just hasn't been the debate at the highest levels, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. But, because you're giving up a lot of stuff.
You can't legally go off grid. You know that, right?
What do you mean you can't legally go off grid?
Legally, there's laws in place. Let's say you wanted to build a tiny house and park it on some, it's legally you can't do it. You have to be tracked and controlled by the government legally.
Well, it's true in the sense that you have to be able to be, identified. I mean, there's a limit to what degree one doesn't. I mean, if you wanted to totally mountain man it, live in the wilderness, I mean, who could stop you, right? I mean, if you wanted to totally Jason Bourne that shit or whatever. But, I mean, there's also hey, I'm a functioning member of society. I pay my taxes. I pay my water bill. I go to. But so there's limits to ultimately how far you can get off the grid. But you can decline to participate in Google, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, and Netflix. You can.
Agreed.
Yeah. But I can't because I need Apple.
Because I need that shit.
Let's
Because
not
I need
lump Netflix into the whole evil for watching thing.
Whoa.
Right.
Netflix knows more about you than some of these other services.
I guess, but that from my movies, like
Oh yeah, brother.
It's
You know who else
all
knew that?
for AI somewhere.
Look what happened to them.
Look what happened to who?
I said, who else knew my movie watching preferences was Blockbuster? Look what happened to them.
A good point. I mean, there could be something else that comes
If that's
along.
all you got, if that's all the information you got is which movies I like to watch, then that's okay.
You're
But they know if you're paying attention or not. They'll be like, "Hey, are you still watching?"
yeah, it's
Creepy.
true. It is.
I suppose, yeah.
Did you notice that Mark Zuckerberg and some of these other famous CEOs, they put electrical tape over their cameras on their personal phones and on their
Yes.
computers and shit?
Yes. Yeah. Everyone who doesn't want to be observed does that. That's just a thing that your computer can be hacked and your camera can be utilized without your knowledge at any time.
And so can your TV, it turns out.
Well, if it's smart, yes.
If you got a person watching TV. That's why you stop at the last tier before this new wave of TVs that just came out the last.
Are you watching the TV or is the TV watching you?
Yeah, well,
Little column A, little column B.
There's a little food for thought. And on that note, I'll shut up.
No, but on the other, so just to wrap up this particular discussion, I mean, in some ways, we've had this talk before. What are you going to do? I mean, I'll give you an example, right? So I commute to work every day. I've got to look at Google traffic to see which route to take, or I'm going to cost myself 15, 20 minutes, right? That kind of convenience, guess what? I guess I'm willing to trade so I can get more targeted ads. Thanks.
Well, eventually.
And also, on another point, like, if you know every single fucking thing about every single person in America, like, that's a lot of people to do shit about. You got to be like some kind of high profile in the government off right now at this stage for them to, so if you don't have anything, so for like you, Dad, you work for the government. So you don't really have anything to hide. I don't really like that excuse. Well, if you don't have anything to hide, then what's the problem? Because that's pretty weak. But at the same time, also, if you don't have anything to hide, then if you're not doing anything, then why would they use that information to come after you? If you're just going to work.
It's more to the point. It's not so much that they're using the information to come after me. It's more that the point that companies that I utilize their services, their back end of the bargain is a lot more lucrative to them than it is convenient for me. That's the thing. It's an unfair trade. Yeah.
Is it more lucrative than it is convenient? If that were the case, wouldn't you just be able to stop doing it?
Well, no, because it's super convenient.
Well, then, is it more lucrative than it is convenient?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, I guess I'm going to really need to think about it. Okay, I'm going to have to think this out. I'm going to have to think it through.
Not really, because you need to know how to get to work.
And you know where I'm going to think it out at? I'm going to go think it out at Ziff's. Fine dining in a relaxed continental atmosphere in Invercargill, New Zealand. Proud sponsors, even though they don't know it, of a Shinn show. Also, and then after I've done with my delicious meal at Ziff's, I'm going to head right on over to the throne room and get myself a heavy tattoo. Also in Invercargill, New Zealand. Also an unknowing proud sponsor of a Shinn show.
Yeah, thank you, Invercargill. Thank you so much.
Actually, thoughts and prayers out to New Zealand. I didn't talk about that news. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Well, it's grim.
It is grim. I mean,
it is.
Unbelievable. 50 people dead.
Saw AOC is under fire for saying, what good do thoughts and prayers do?
Yeah, well, she's right. To a certain extent.
Well, yeah, because the NRA sent that, right? Like the NRA sent that to New Zealand.
I think it's a pretty standard response. Everybody.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you don't need to jump down their neck for it. Like, shit, man. We was just trying to. Well, I don't know what you want me to say. Just trying to be. Actually, if I were the NRA, response, I wouldn't have said shit.
Yeah.
That response is more applicable in the U.S. If the NRA had said something about a shooting in the U.S. where the NRA is complicit in a lot of our gun laws, then that would have been more appropriate. But foreign policy speaking, thoughts and prayers, dude. Good luck figuring that out. We haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
I think someone still would have, said that to if this happened in America and the NRA said it in America, someone still would have been like, "What good are your thoughts and prayers?"
That's what I'm saying. And that would have been more applicable in America, because what good does thoughts and prayers do? They don't. Legislation is what helps.
Did you see the Australian senator that bitch slapped the teenager for cracking an egg on his head?
No.
It's all related to this New Zealand thing, because the senator said, that's what happens when you let Muslims migrate. And so
I saw that.
This kid cracked an egg over his head, and the senator grabbed a hold of him and bitch slapped him a couple of times. Now the Australian Prime Minister has weighed in and said the senator is wrong, and that he was wrong to bitch slap the teenager, and it's a big to-do.
Well, it should be. And ultimately, by the way, the original statement that this is what happens when you allow Muslims to immigrate is, that's fundamentally a bigoted statement.
Dick move.
Yeah.
We call that a dick move.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I didn't say that it wasn't. I just said that I'm just reporting the facts. That's all.
Right, that's a good point.
I find it amusing.
Don't jump down Guy's throat.
Yeah, take it back a notch, dude.
I actually saw this video of these guys fucking harassing the shit out of that same senator for doing that.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that's on the front page of Reddit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Which I didn't even know. I didn't know all I saw was the video of those guys harassing that Australian senator. Didn't know nothing about him bitch slapping anybody. Didn't know nothing about what he said about the Muslims. So when I saw the video, I was like, yeah, those guys should fucking get off his dick. But now knowing the whole thing, they seem
what I don't understand is what the egg has to do with it.
Right, the egg is blameless. The harmless egg, the blameless egg.
Yeah, why'd you got to bring the egg into it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Leave the poor egg out of it. All right, very good. So, hey,
practical Easter, for God's sake.
Yeah. So what a lot of news this week.
I said there was
sacred. Leave the egg alone. Harmless egg. There's some news this week about eggs being bad for your heart again. I just ignored it. I didn't even read it. You know why? Because they always say different things about the egg.
Eggs, goddammit. That's why.
I love it.
Well, you know what? I don't even like eggs, so
no, you're fine.
I'm good on the egg front.
Right. Just continue to smoke cigarettes, but avoid eggs. Smart. Good.
Yes.
All right.
Avoid those eggs like the plague.
Yes. All right.
So I am listening to Gone Girl. I've tried to read it a couple times, and I couldn't ever get into it.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, no, I don't know. I just couldn't. But the audiobook version of it apparently has me hooked. And they had some comment about this girl who was smoking but slathering sunblock on. So, lung cancer, fine. Skin cancer, no.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. By the way, Gone Girl, good movie, good book. I'm glad you're...
Sunburns also suck, though.
Yeah, well, true.
Yeah, that's true.
You can just not want a sunburn. Also, Gone Girl was a fantastic book. I don't want to ruin it, but that was a good book. I can't remember when I read it, but I read the whole fucking thing. And then,
You usually do read the whole book, don't you? I mean, you don't just...
Yeah.
Actually,
I've been like one book that I never... It was that one book you gave me, Sarah, or that you just had, something about crow people. Not crow people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't like that one. The Raven King.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that. But every other book I usually finish.
Hey, speaking of books, I did read a book called All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. Boy, was that an interesting book. I would say that it had some periods of discontinuity in the book where it just kind of jumped from one scene to another and one piece to another. But it was well written and very interesting in concept, in some ways quite dark, but with a hopeful ending. And it's a futuristic wedding of magic and technology. That's the synopsis.
What was it called? I like those kind of books. I'll give it a read.
You should. It's called All the Birds in the Sky.
Okay, I'll give it a read.
By Charlie Jane Anders. And it was a National Book Award finalist a couple of years ago. And I found it at Barnes & Noble, a paperback edition of it, in their, cheap books section. I think I bought it for $3.
There you have it.
Yeah.
You can get it for...
Oh, was I with you? Oh, no.
No,
never mind.
You weren't. Bargain fiction, though.
I remember when we bought a bunch of books from Goodwill.
Yes.
Good book. Found some good hauls.
Yeah. Read them all.
Yeah.
Can't remember one of them.
Thank you for saying that, because I just had an argument about whether or not I should donate these books that have been sitting in my basement. So we had to move a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Get rid of them.
Nobody reads books. Yeah, they do.
People will buy them.
Exactly.
I know they will.
You. She's like, it was a whole just throw them away thing. No, I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to go give them somewhere.
Throw them away. Yeah.
Read them. Yeah. Anyway.
Why would you just throw them right in the garbage? Just add more to the landfill.
I actually had
donate them somewhere.
Library when I lived in Lakewood. I had quite a few books, and I ended up donating them because they're hard to move. They're heavy. They take up space. And let's face it, once you read a book, you know, unless it's like a really good book, you're probably not going to read it again. Now, there's a few I've read more than once. The Count of Monte Cristo. You know, there's a few books that I've read more than one time, but the majority of the books that I read, once I read one and done, they're, you know what I mean?
That's why I love this library.
Yeah.
Okay, so very good. So what was the final decision? Are you going to donate these books, Sarah? Don't leave us on tenterhooks.
Well, right now they're sitting in the spare bedroom all over the bed, so probably.
Okay. So no decision has been made. That's what I hear.
Never throw out a book. Donate it somewhere. There's a million places to donate them.
Yeah, okay. Very
Agreed.
good. Give a hoot.
I knew.
Read a book.
It didn't matter what the outcome of that argument was. I know what's happening.
Yeah.
And they're going to be put in boxes in my car and disappear.
You're gonna take them
That
for a
sounds
ride.
like you're a mobster now.
It
Are
does.
we back to the mobster thing?
A book mobster. I'll take it.
Hey,
they're going to be wearing concrete book covers.
So speaking of mobsters, by the way, so we have concluded season 3 of The Sopranos, which means
seasons are there?
there's 6.5, actually, 6.5 seasons. So we're through 39 episodes out of 85. Progress is being made.
I've been watching The Umbrella Academy.
And what are your thoughts?
I love it. I think it's really good.
Really?
You should watch that, Nick.
Oh, yeah. I saw a fucking promo for that on Netflix, and it looked kind of cool.
That's on Netflix. I canceled Netflix. They raised the price.
Oh, they did.
Oh, yeah. I use my mom's Netflix. So.
I leech off my mother's Netflix as well.
Yeah. Like true children.
Yeah.
I saw a great picture the other day, and it said the guy who paid, and it was the Netflix profiles, and one was the guy that pays for it. Leech 1, Leech 2.
Yeah. That's us.
Yeah. That's exactly how it goes. Isn't the guy from Misfits in that?
Yes. Yes, Nathan.
The funny dude?
Yeah, he is. And it's based off comics that Gerard Way wrote.
Yeah.
The lead singer from My Chemical Romance.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Based off of the Dark Horse comics.
Written. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So was Gerard Way did he make those comics? Like all of those?
Yes.
He was the author of the Dark Horse comics.
Correct.
Wow.
He might have been the co-author, but I'm pretty sure he's the author.
That was kind of a big fucking deal, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, My Chemical Romance broke up in 2010, dude. It was almost 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. He could still do other things, but
I'm just saying that he's had time to do
cool.
other
That's
things.
just cool. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, and that's what the Umbrella Academy is based off of, is those Dark Horse comics. So you should totally watch it.
All right.
Yeah, I will.
Well,
I think the real moral of the story is that, Guy, let us know and we'll get you our login information. Because why should you be without Netflix? You need to see the Umbrella Academy.
Okay. I'll hit you up. Actually, you know what? I think I have Kira's password too.
Join the Leech Life.
There you go.
But you know what? Her and Sydney piggybacked off of mine for about 2 years. Actually,
Time to return
the entire time Sydney was in high school, they piggybacked off of mine.
Yeah, so now it's time.
Yeah.
Bring it back around.
Time to pay the piper, as they say.
Yeah. And the other issue, Guy, is that Nacho Libre still exists on Netflix, so you can't go without that. I expected more of a response to that, frankly. I guess it wasn't that damn funny.
You didn't see the tattoo?
Oh my God, no, I missed it.
I have Nacho Libre tattooed on my forearm. That's how much I approve of Nacho Libre.
Yes, exactly. So therefore, you should not go without access to Nacho Libre on Netflix. That's all I'm saying.
I own the movie, dude.
Yeah. Oh, well, go. Okay, that makes sense. You don't need it on that.
Anymore.
This isn't fucking amateur hour, okay? We got the movie itself in here. We're not relying on a third power like Netflix.
Nick understands.
I do. All right, very good. Okay.
But
so
speaking of movies,
yeah.
Guy and Nick, I think you'll especially approve of this. Brad is taking a theater class, and his current project is what's known as a duet. So it's a 2-person scene, and he and one other person have to act out a scene. And they chose to act out Step Brothers. The scene where they're both sleeping in the beds in the room the first time, and they're like, "You're a curly-headed fuck."
Can they say that? Can they say all the words
they
in that?
Can, yeah.
That's dope. Damn.
Right?
I should have done a theater class when I was in high school.
No doubt.
It's not too late.
We tried to get you into it.
Yeah, but I had friends.
You had other priorities.
Oh, wow. That was insulting to so many of us.
Well, it's just the theater class at my school was not conducive to
your friends.
Friends.
I get it.
Wasn't conducive to partying, dude.
That wasn't really the scene there in Auburn, Nebraska.
Yeah.
So.
Right. I understand. Although I will say this, the theater class I went to in Portales, New Mexico was very party friendly. Very party friendly.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
And they probably all just partied with each other, theater kids, and that's why you never saw them anywhere. I don't even know. They had people in the theater class in my old school, but I don't know who they were. I don't know which ones. It was like a secluded cult.
Oh, no.
You just walk into the theater room and they're all wearing animal masks, like eyes wide shut. You don't know which one is which. What's the password?
Anyway, here's
the other password. Okay.
Here's the point.
Sounds about right. I think he's right on the money.
So here's the point to all that, though. The point is that you can still take a theater class if you'd like, Nick.
Oh yeah, okay.
I also
high
tried to
school,
get you to be an
specifically.
extra in that movie, and you had no interest in that.
Oh no, I did. I just didn't.
Well, I'm going to have to duck out here, guys. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to Ben, the one and only binge
Number
listener.
one listener.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah.
By the way, somebody at my work also listened, and then they didn't give any feedback. You ever have that happen? Hey, yeah, I heard your podcast, and then nothing, right?
And
just walk away.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
probably
Shout
don't
out
want
to
it
that
widely
douchebag's a little strong.
publicized at your work, dude.
No, exactly. I'm like, oh, that's good. Yeah, okay, let's not talk about it.
But when they start giving you just bad looks across the room for no reason, you'll know.
Yeah,
You'll
I'll
know.
know.
It's because they know who you really are.
Exactly. The secret identity, which is the sole and
Maybe
only
it's
promoter
sympathetic ones, though.
in the United
oh my
States.
God, look at all these people that they deal with.
The other side of the coin.
Yeah.
When he takes his glasses off, he's actually Superman.
Right.
Hey, speaking of Bizarro version, just before you go, Guy, because I'd like you to weigh in on this if you know. Do you guys know what the lead singer of Smash Mouth looks like right now?
No, I can't say that I do.
Okay, so just picture Guy Fieri,
Okay.
and there you go.
Are you telling me that Guy Fieri is the lead singer of Smash Mouth?
Okay, I would say, but you never seen them in the same place together? But you have. There's a picture of Guy Fieri and the lead singer of Smash Mouth arm in arm, just like pointing at each other. And one of them looks like the Bizarro version of the other. I don't know which one is the real one and which one is the Bizarro version, but it seems like one of them is a clone of the other one, that something went wrong. You know what I mean?
I have that picture now. I say that the Smash Mouth. Yeah, it's hard to say, man. Which one's the Bizarro?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's hard to tell which one is the normal person and which one is the evil negative side.
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out to us, Nick, for no apparent reason.
Yeah,
So I just looked at it, and you can tell a slight difference in the second chin.
Yeah, see, I'm getting
not the first one, just the second.
Right?
I'm seeing one of the two dressed up in an ICP face mask.
For those who don't know, that's Insane Clown Posse, dressed like a juggalo.
Yeah.
So
it's a triple picture is what it is, and it's the guy from Smash Mouth, one of them in with ICP makeup on, and then Guy Fieri.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I think I'm gonna make it my screensaver.
Is Guy Fieri is the Father, the Son is Smash Mouth, and the Holy Spirit is the ICP guy.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there's actually that is out there, right? Yeah. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's out there. That image. You didn't make that up.
No.
I'm it's my screensaver as we speak. I just made it that.
I live by that, brother. I didn't make that up. All right.
You can't make this shit up.
No, that's text. That's only canon for me. All right.
All right, guys. Have a fun rest of the cast, and thanks for letting me join.
All right. Good to see you, guy.
Have a good week.
All right. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Peace out.
Bye.
All right. See ya. Well, he was a welcome addition to the pod as always. Indeed. All right. So we better finish up with sports. I understand that.
No.
What do you mean?
What about these questions?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want
Okay.
these questions.
Well,
Yeah. Okay. So these will be quick. We can fire right through these. All right. Just
Yeah.
very simple. So I want you to think real quick about what do you think will be the coolest fusion between a man and or a human, could be a woman, I guess, and any kind of animal. You could fuse, if you were a mad scientist with a laboratory and you could just fuse two creatures together, one of them has to be a human now, what would it be and why?
But I didn't think about this too much because I remember you mentioned it in passing and I was going to think about it and then I forgot. But my gut reaction says octopus.
Okay,
because-
that was mine too.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about the camouflage and
Yeah.
if the spine thing was optional, or like
Yeah,
if
you
you
could
could
just fit
liquefy
through
your spine.
A
Yeah.
keyhole.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm
So-
thinking more of a human tiger, a higer, or
Okay.
a tumen. What would you call it?
Are you talking about like a bipedal
yeah,
tiger?
yeah. I'm talking
Like
about.
Tony the tiger.
Well, yeah, it'd be.
A
well,
little more menacing, hopefully, than Tony the fucking tiger. But yeah.
well, maybe a little more menacing, but not. But you'd be able to turn it on or off, right? Human beings can be either very friendly or very menacing, right?
Oh, so like a shapeshifter type.
No,
No.
I'm just saying that somebody,
You would stay as a
The
human
menace is
tiger.
optional.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, I can be menacing without actually shape shifting.
Yeah, all you got to do is, stand in your underwear in the hallway in the dark, coming out of the guest bedroom to take a leak at 3 a.m.
This sounds a little personal.
Right. Along that line of conversation, we'll say that maybe a human chameleon mashup would be cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what now?
Maybe a human chameleon mashup would be cool
Oh, yeah.
based on the current line of discussion.
That would
Although
be
I
cool.
was going to go with a human eagle, so you can fly around and shit.
A heagle.
Yeah.
God bless America.
I like a heagle.
Heagle. Yeah, Heagle sounds cool. It's like He-Man.
Yeah. But that also could be either very friendly or very menacing. But
Yeah.
any way you slice it, it'd be patriotic.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Boy, I wish Guy was around for these. I mean, we should have broken these out earlier. We really
I know,
should.
man.
We
I
tried to.
had some firecrackers. I tried to shoehorn it in earlier, but we got a little lost in the sauce.
Yeah, I'll say.
Okay. So, another question here is, what is the weirdest, or you could say scariest, dream that you've ever had that you can remember?
Ooh,
Ooh,
I got this
I've
one
got-
right off the top. You go
Okay,
ahead.
sorry. No. You go first.
I mean, I've had scarier since this, but I do remember that this was the dream that freaked me out the most. And it was while I was still in high school. I had a dream that one of my friends shot up the place, and I remember going back into the music room is where like all the people were No, that's where we were gathering the dead, was because the students were doing that for whatever reason, and we were covering them all with this blue blanket, which is a piece from a different nightmare. And I just remember pulling back all these blankets and just seeing, just like, on that South Park episode where Britney Spears shoots herself but doesn't die. Yeah, that's how everyone's head was. And
Yeah,
they were all
that's
dead.
crazy. Back when you were in high school and you had this dream
Mhm.
nightmare. So that was before school shootings ever became popular too.
No, that's not true.
Well,
no, it's-
Columbine has always been a thing.
yeah, but it
That happened in
wasn't
the 90s.
when you were in high school.
It wasn't as publicized. Yeah.
Either wasn't as publicized. Yeah, might not have just been as publicized, but it seems like there's a lot more school shootings today than when you were in high school.
Well, we're making progress along a number of fronts.
Yeah, onward and upward, he says.
All right. So I will tell you the scariest dream I ever had. I've had a couple of dreams like this involving nuclear war. Where in one dream, very specifically, I still remember it. I was, for whatever reason, in southern Michigan, probably because I grew up there for a few years, and I saw a mushroom cloud over Detroit. Now, why anyone would want to bomb Detroit, they've already done it to themselves. Am I right? But nevertheless, I remember being very horrified that, nuclear warfare appeared to be breaking out. And I've had similar dreams a couple times.
Yeah, I guess I also had a dream one time that, so my friend and I in college used to have free cupcakes of free cupcake flavors. So they would post it on Facebook, and then if you ran down to the cupcake shop and named the flavor, you could get a free cupcake.
Right.
So we would do that almost once a week or whatever. So we were running down to the cupcake shop and getting our free cupcake, but a plane started to crash overhead as we were running into the shop. So this is at the bottom of Exarban, and it crashed into the end of the intersection there, and then we had to go play pararescue.
I see.
That was another.
Gotcha.
I remember the noise of the like, there must have been something outside, like some semi or something really loud, but the noise of it is what I remember being so unsettling.
Yeah. And you didn't get a cupcake. Also unsettling.
Very.
Yes.
Well, so my scariest dream was a recurring dream. I would have it every year, sometime in the month of October for like 4 years, right? And so the other context is that I grew up in a very religious household. So I was in church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday evenings, you name it, right? So it started around the age of 12. I would have this dream where I'm like up in heaven. It's very Greco-Roman with like columns and clouds and like the very, typical heaven view, right? And I'm hanging there with the 12 disciples, and we're just chilling and we're talking. And all of a sudden the columns turn into pillars of fire, and they turn into demons and come after me. So
That's
it's like
cool.
super peaceful to like suddenly, oh my God, fucking evil. Yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Like that haunted house in Kansas City, the Beast Haunted House.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Happy Halloween,
it does the
everyone.
same sort of thing.
Happy Halloween. All right. So what about you, Nicholas?
Oh, I don't know about, like, it's not scary, but I've had several like really bad stress dreams.
Yeah.
Like where I'm just so glad to be fucking. Actually, here's one. This is a very vivid dream I had when we had got back from the cruise. Like, it was the night before, we were driving back we had come in from the cruise. We were driving back from Florida. We stopped halfway somewhere between Florida and Nebraska. We were in the fucking hotel room, and Sarah and Murph were telling me this story about fucking bed bugs they got 10 years ago from a hotel room when they were going to a concert. And I was like, I didn't know that was possible. Okay. So it's kind of freaking out a little bit about it in my head, but it was fine. And so I go to sleep, then I wake up in the middle of the night and I rip the covers back, and my fucking body is covered in bed bugs. So I run to the fucking bathroom and wash them off me, and then I wake up in the bed. And I'm like, oh God. Okay, and I take the sheets back, and there they are again. Fucking bed bugs. They're all over me, dude. I'm trying to scrape them off, and then I'm really freaking out. And then I just wake up in the bed again. Ugh, there are the bed bugs. It keeps fucking happening to the point where in the morning when they actually woke me up, the first thing I did was just rip the sheets back. I was like, oh, God. Is there anything on you guys or anything? I'm good, but I was horrible. That was the only dream I've ever had where I kept waking up into another dream.
Yeah, that's very disconcerting. No, yeah. So I did have some other combat-related dreams too, but whatever.
Well, I got another question.
Yeah.
Which may go into that. Which is, what is one time in your life when you were really like, oh shit, I'm gonna die?
Oh,
but you didn't, obviously.
Oh, the best example of that is when I was in Afghanistan and I accidentally got myself separated from my security detail. Now, they weren't that far away, but they were far enough away that they wouldn't have heard me scream. Let's put it that way.
Far enough.
Yes, and I was in the presence exclusively of Afghan national policemen, all of whom were armed with either Kalashnikovs or sidearms, and my only weapon was a 9mm and a Polaroid camera. So, so I found myself in that situation. I didn't even have any body armor on. I mean, I was in a very vulnerable position, and I thought to myself, if this goes wrong, I'm either captured and am an isolated personnel and am going to be years away from everything and imprisoned, or they're just going to fucking blow my head off if this goes wrong. But
were you nervous or was it a calm sort of feeling?
It was very calm because you know how it is, right? People,
if you
animals.
start to panic, then they'll start to panic. They can sense the fear, right?
Exactly. And that would have made it go worse. So I just kept taking pictures until I ran out of film and then said, got to get some more film. And then went back to my security detail. And this is a true story.
And clung to their ankles.
Well, so I said to the guy who was leading the security detail for me, I said, hey, and I was a captain at the time, and he was, I think, a sergeant or was about to make sergeant. Anyway, I said, man, Tim, I was pretty fucking stupid there. He goes, yes, sir, you were pretty fucking stupid. Don't do that shit again. So, anyway.
Could you not have just said you were out of film at the moment you found this out?
No.
No.
No, they would have known something was up.
Exactly. So I took the rest of the pictures, then I opened up my camera and showed them that there was no film. See what I'm saying?
So there was no, language discrepancies.
Exactly. And I knew the one word that said meant empty or nothing was nishta. So I opened up and said nishta. That was very cute. You're not gonna shoot a cute.
Turn the charm on.
Right, exactly. Turn on the charm. Charisma plus 10.
So the closest I've ever come to anything like that, it was my own damn fault because I've never been in any sort of combat situation. I got into a slap fight once when I was 14, and that was about as serious as combat as I ever got. But
that can be pretty serious.
It was, yeah. I mean, she does do meth now, so who knows if she was doing it.
So who really won? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. No, but it was, weather related because I live in Nebraska. But it was a blizzard. I think I was like 19, maybe. And I was going too fast on the highway. I was driving home I still worked in Nebraska City while going to college up in Omaha. It was my second or third job, And I was driving back on the weekend. And I was going too fast. I was going about 60. And it was snowing and icy. And I look up and I see state troopers on either side of the road. And I look into the ditch and I see 4 or 5 cars. And then I look down on my speedometer and I'm like, oh shit. And so I foolishly tapped the brakes. I let off the gas, but then I tapped the brakes and went neatly into the ditch. But as I was going, as I felt my car start to slide, I was like, I turned and I looked at Murphy and she looked at me and I'm like, we're going to die. This is how we die. It's real calm. All right, we're dying.
I've had dreams like that where I'm like, I just slide out of control, going way too fast on the interstate, and I just can feel that I'm about to die. But then I don't, obviously.
Well, the scariest part was, there were already cars in the ditch, right? So I stopped a good 3 inches probably from another car. Nice. And the guy leapt out of the car. He's like, oh my God, are you guys okay? I'm like, we're fine. Are you okay? Like, because I think you probably might have shat your pants there.
What car was that?
It was my Jeep, my old 2000 Liberty Jeep.
It was designed for that, so no problems there.
So, Nick, what's your near-death experience?
I've there's been a few times where I thought I might actually seriously die, but one good one is also in a car.
Good one.
We'll go with the car theme. I was driving. I was funny because I had just told. It was this girl's car, Haley, and it was me, Haley, and Dylan. And Dylan was driving, and I was like, he just was not a good driver. And so we were, dicking around on the country roads behind Auburn and shit. And I had spent like 15 minutes telling this dude, hey, man, you suck at driving, so just let me drive. You suck, let me drive. So eventually he switched, and I was driving. And my buddy Bryce was driving his mom's car, I think, also in the back road somewhere. And we were just kind of driving around and fucking off. And then so I was coming down one narrow gravel road at like 50 miles an hour. And Bryce was coming up this narrow gravel road at 50 miles an hour. And then we're doing like a little game of chicken. And I realized, though, that one of us, we can't swerve off. It's too narrow. You have to slow down and kind of get off to the side of the road for one of us to pass. So I also, going about 50 miles an hour, hit the brakes on this gravel road. And I just lost control of the car. And I swear to you, if someone had told me this story, I wouldn't believe it, but it really went down like this. We did a 360 on the gravel road and then just stopped facing forward on the side of the road. And it made it look like I did it on purpose. Like I just whipped it around his car to the side of the road, was still holding a cigarette in my hand and everything. In reality,
you shit your pants.
Yeah, and while we were spinning completely sideways, facing backwards on the road, I was thinking two things. Like, man, I was just telling Dylan how much he sucked at driving, and two, I think we all might fucking die. And then we didn't, and it was all good.
There you go.
And it made you look like a badass.
All right, Elsie, let's hear your near-death experience.
Mine was near Durango, Colorado. We were on a hike, and we were in whatever the local river there is. It starts with an H. I couldn't pronounce it if I tried at the moment. But it was during the time of snow melt-off, so it was like frigid water. And, because we're dumb, we're like, oh, let's hop in. But I hopped in a little too far, got carried away by the rapids, and, thought I was going to drown because I was carried, I don't know, probably a good 100 yards down the river. And then thankfully it was hitting a steep turn. And because of the rapids pushing you into the bank, I was able to grab a tree root. Even though I couldn't see it, I was just trying to grab for anything. Grabbed this tree root, pulled myself out, and suffered hypothermia afterward. But I didn't drown, so that's the happy story.
Hypothermia, that's a nice touch. Made it close.
Yeah, but there was no time to, have any of these moments because I'm just like, oh my God, I have to find a way to live.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, well, how heartwarming that we all survived.
Survive.
I've got another great story too. If you want to hear it. You want to hear it?
I do.
Well, I think I've already told it.
Story time. Let's do it.
Well, so we were under attack on the FOB. It was one of the few times that the Taliban actually hit something. They blew up a diesel fuel bladder. So we had a whole bunch of fires and stuff going on this FOB. And then the Taliban, while, this chaos is going on the FOB, decided to continue to pour fire down on us. Makes sense, right? So in any event, one of the things that was on fire was this big armored vehicle called an MRAP that was filled with explosives and C4. And my buddy and my buddy and me were up for, and this is a longer story, but the bottom line is we were about, I don't know, it looked to me like we were about 20 feet away from this thing. And I had my cell phone with him, and he had to call back to the Tactical Operations Center. He said, oh, gee, I don't have my cell. I've got mine. So he's on the cell phone to the Tactical Operations Center describing, he had just put out a fire. I had just done some things. He was describing what we were doing. And this MRAP blew up. Kaboom! And we were right by it. He and I just looked at each other. We felt the shock wave. We looked at each other. We didn't say a word, and we started running. And all of this debris started raining down on us. Okay, luckily we were in full battle rattle, so it just kind of banged off us. But at that moment, as we were running and this debris was raining down on us, I could not help but thinking, if the wrong thing lands on me right now, I am dead.
Pancaked.
Yeah, and there's nothing you could do either.
Nothing you can do. And here's the thing. That explosion blew the back of the door off of this MRAP a half mile down the hill to the FOB where it landed harmlessly in the road. Yeah.
So you're on the wrong side of that vehicle.
I was on the right side of that vehicle. Yeah.
Right.
So in any event, and so was my buddy Oz. But we looked at each other and started laughing. The blast wave from that concussion was so strong that it knocked the cell phone signal out. So the call ceased. Anyway, but that was another experience.
That's pretty cool.
The only other thing. Now. Yeah, it's cool now. Terrifying then.
Yeah, it was
battle.
Yeah, that was one where I thought that could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing that comes close for me is when we took our big kayak trip from Plattsmouth down to Nebraska City. So 30 miles kayaking in these inflatable kayaks, having never done it before. I was with Murphy and her brother-in-law, and I had decided to cross the length of the Missouri. So they were on one side of the river and I was on the other. And I hit this little whirlpool, which didn't really do anything, but you can feel the current or whatever tug on you, and it twisted me a little bit. And I thought, I'm way, way too far away from everyone else. If I capsized, or if I hit a rip or something, like it would, and I had to be in the water and they're 100 yards away, this is stupid. Let's get back to the rest of the group. So then I did that. But that was just a little trickle of gee, you should probably be with your group right now.
Well, that's another. Yeah. So thank you, Sarah, for not drowning or dying in a car accident. Thank you, Nicholas, for being an inadvertently cool driver. And thank you, Elsie, for not, drowning to death at a younger age. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your service, Dad.
That it looked like I did it on purpose. What I mean is if you had like a drone flying over the scene, everyone in the car knew that was not on purpose. Everyone in the car was also thinking the exact same thing I was. Like, you were just saying how good you were at driving, and now we're all going to die.
You motherfucker.
So it did not add to your cool points, evidently.
Well, no, it did, though. It still happened. Like, it still happened, dog.
Those are just like luck cool points.
It's not on purpose.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. Well, kids, I got to tell you, I think we didn't leave time for sports this time, but that's okay. All right. So anyway, we'll do sports next time. A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence and features the voices and opinions of the Shinn family, which are exclusively their own. It's brought to you on a fake basis by Ziff's Fine Dining in Invercargill, New Zealand, and by The Throne Room, also in Invercargill, New Zealand. Heavy tattoos at The Throne Room after your heavy meal at Ziff's. A Shinn Show is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Join us again next week when we'll hear Sarah Shinn say...
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Or similar. Anyway, thanks, kids. Good to talk to you. Good show. It was fun. Enjoyed it.
By the way, I feel the need to say that my opinions might be my own, but I feel like I speak for the people.
Right.
Yeah.
Many people do think that.
I speak for the people.
Right.
That nebulous entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I am the Lorax and I speak for the trees. For the trees have no voice of their own, if you please.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
If you don't mind.
You kind of win when you rhyme, so
break out the Seuss.
Yeah, but it wasn't original.
No. That's true. Although I have long claimed to be the hip-hop-opotamus because my rhymes are bottomless. But that's also a rip-off of Flight of the Conchords.
Hippie to the hip-hop.
I got a friend who
hip-hop that don't stop.
I got a friend who kind of looks like the Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords, but not cool. He's just got whack sideburns, and it's like, dude, you take care of them.
You might want to weed whack those. Good point. All right. So join us again next week, right? All right. We'll see you then.
Goodbye.